Shirley Betts. Thank you for coming to listen to my speech on emissions control. Imagine our only air becoming unbreathable because every state did not take into consideration of how we treat the environment or control the air we breathe. The state of Kansas should implement a mandatory emissions inspection for drivers to protect our health and the environment. We will be learning about some important facts involving the states and emissions laws that will make you want to help Kansas take a step towards our state being one in all of the states having thorough inspection requirements. Our future living with clean air is at stake if we don't do more to help to keep the air clean and work together as a nation to find new ways to keep our air free of toxins and harmful chemicals. To help paint the picture in your mind, think back to a time you may have smelled exhaust fumes while driving, the awful smell and the source of it. Emissions like smog from cars are harmful to our health. It is released from cars into the air that we breathe. IQ Air of the Science ABC Journal reports that the ingredients in exhaust is harmful and contains many ingredients such as carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, formaldehyde, which is what they use in embalming the dead, benzene, sulfur dioxide, and soot. Here's a list of the chemicals' effects. Carbon monoxide is a colorless, tasteless, and odorless gas in and of itself and is one of the chief culprits that make exhaust fumes hazardous to human health, as it binds to the hemoglobin in our blood, which results in suffocation. I find this fact proves how we can forget that though our senses are not picking up immediate consequences, our bodies certainly are. Benzene produces cancer-causing agents that can severely impact bone marrow and a drop in the number of red blood cells, which cause anemia. Sulfur dioxide is also a colorless gas that irritates the respiratory system and is associated with asthma and other similar illnesses. There are certain non-toxic components like water vapor and nitrogen, and as well as particles that are emitted like metal. According to the Washington State Department of Ecology, carbon monoxide is a colorless, odorless, poisonous gas emitted from the vehicle's exhaust as a result of incomplete combustion. It interferes with the blood's ability to carry oxygen to the brain, the heart, and other tissues. People with breathing problems like asthma, pulmonary diseases, or emphysema can have more harmful effects on their bodies from these emissions. For example, I have asthma and was stuck behind a large exhaust truck in the McDonald's drive-thru. The fumes were so bad I had to use my albuterol inhaler and I ended up with a headache. Furthermore, the ozone layer will eventually not do its job due to the vast output of emissions and society's lack of awareness of harmful smog output. It is important for us to know the definition of emissions. It is expelled in the form of energy, heat waves, and gas. According to the Union of Concerned Scientists, passenger vehicles are a major contributor to large amounts of pollution. It also discusses the future of these dangerous oil-related emissions rising in the next few years. Some strong federal and state policies help cut pollution from cars with more improvement standards from future emissions requirements. On March 13, 2018, Jenny Green writes in Sciencing.com about the effects of car pollution. She says, cars and trucks emit carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases which contribute 1/5 of the United States' total global warming pollution. Heat gets trapped in the atmosphere and creates rising temperatures. Higher temperatures affect farming, wildlife, sea levels, and natural landscapes. The good news is that the United States did pass the federal law for the Clean Air Act in 1963. That puts regulations in place for air quality. If the emissions are bad for our body, they are also bad for our environment. Check out this video that was found on YouTube, created by Michelle Carol Nerona. It's a good video that helps explain car pollution in a way we can see for those of us that are visual learners. So we have a video of some transportation. Half of the air pollution is caused by automobiles. Leakage, carbon dioxide, and improper disposal harm the environment. So we have some pictures of some land that is being affected, some vegetables, the vehicles, our bodies, the food we eat, the fish are breathing that in, the toxic vehicle fluids, motor oils, transmission, gasoline, air conditioning, refrigerants in your cars. Our state of Kansas is one of 19 states that do not do emissions inspections on vehicles. According to the DMV.org for Kansas, there are no emission inspections required for new or current residents. The only inspection required on vehicles in Kansas are VIN, title, and registration inspections. The types of vehicles in Kansas that have to go through mandatory inspections are any vehicle with an out-of-state title, any vehicle model 1950 or newer purchased in Kansas, any vehicle titled as a non-highway or salvage vehicle, as well as any boat trailer weighing 2,001 pounds or more that's never been titled in Kansas. Kansas residents can get insurance and tax benefits if they have eco-friendly vehicles through green driver incentives. I have that on my van, and I get a discount through insurance company because I have eco-friendly driving. This does not include electric or fuel-efficient cars. This incentive is a way for the state to control emissions without inspections. Some states, as recorded in FindLaw.com, that do require emissions inspections or smog inspections only require them in larger cities and not the small towns or suburbs. The Union of Concerned Scientists with UCSUSA.org state that nearly 1/2 of all Americans live in areas that don't meet federal air quality standards. For example, the driving laws found at drivinglaws.aaa.com or our nearby state of Colorado only requires emissions inspections of gas and diesel engines. In Nevada, only vehicles in urban and some suburban portions of Clark and Washoe counties are required to be tested. Some states like Maryland has required exhaust emissions that must be inspected every 2 years. The federal government and many states do have policies in place to create fuel-efficient vehicles, cleaner fuels, and are planning for electric cars in the future. For these reasons, I believe we should be a state that requires emissions inspections and testing. Due to the rising effects of how we are affected by pollutants and the emissions of transportation through definitions, states with and without controls in place, and how everyday transportation could cost us a clean ozone, I would hope we would want to change the state laws regarding them. The state of Kansas should implement a mandatory emissions inspection for drivers to protect our health and the environment. As you can see, I have proven that by our state not having these laws in place, Kansas is contributing to our health and environment downfall. Finally, you should check out the endless web of information out there to help make up your own minds further on helping to advocate Kansas' need to change our laws on emissions inspections. Thank you guys very, very much for coming. And more than once, I really